Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this playthrough, or let's play, or whatever the hell you want to call it, of Mad Professor Mariarti. Not Moriarty, as I so adamantly believed it was, up until I actually searched this game last night. This game just popped into my head. This is something I used to play way back in the day. As you can see, 1990 is when it came out. I was only 5 years old then, much more innocent age, before I learned the true, real horrors of the real modern world. And this has just stuck with me since then. Just going to run through the demo here, just give you an idea of what the game is set up. Basically, this is one of my favourite games I played as a kid. It's a real gem of a game, I found. Certainly it was one that stuck with me through my childhood. It's unique in that it's a side-scrolling platformer. You've got your left, right, up, down, jump, up ladders and stuff over platforms, and you fire on enemies to kill them, which is all fair enough. But beyond that, it's got a puzzle element. It actually comes across quite like a bit like an adventure game. And this is before I ever played Monkey Island or anything along those lines. So having to obtain items around the map and having to solve little puzzles just by, using those items in certain areas. You'll see as we get to play here. But this is one of these old school games. It's developed in the UK as far as I know, way back then, by about a team of 3 people and many hours of substance abuse. Don't need to see that, so I'm just going to skip past this and start the game. Now the game starts off quite interestingly. It's a bit non-linear. It's a bit like a lot of games maybe you expect this of games now, but back then this was kind of a big thing that you actually get to select the order of the levels you do in. It doesn't really affect things in the long run, but some of these levels are perceivably more different than others, so it lets you at least gauge your own difficulty and select your own path. But if we don't want to play, we can just nope, there's a boot there. Okay, well, we're just going to start off in the computer level here, and why not? Alright, so here we are. The interesting thing to point out is that, I'll throw spanners at that guy. First of all, pretty much nothing in this game dies forever. I'm going to grab this token here. I'll just give you a brief overview of what we've got to look at here. In the bottom left of the screen, that's your inventory. You do have an inventory in this game. As I said, you do have to pick up items and use them in certain places. You scroll through that by holding the fire button and pressing up and down. Now, we don't have anything right now apart from tokens and a compact disc. I'm not even sure what the compact disc is for. I think I actually played through the entirety of this game before when I was younger. I'd never actually found out why you would need that. I haven't actually played this game in years, so I'm pretty much doing this for the first time, so I'm just going to get started here. Interesting to point out is the text box in the lower right, which you'll see changes as you go over certain areas. Now this is it's a nice little way for them to put in elements of humour in the game. Well, this game is pretty much just for laughs, really. Grab some more tokens. I mean, you see, you can kill guys, but they will respawn, and they usually respawn just as you enter the screen, just to show you that they respawn, just as kind of like 2 fingers up to you, like nothing you do in this game matters, you worthless player. So anyway, of course, flashing ground means it hurts. That's just a game standard. Throw hundreds of spanners at these guys. Now, at the start, your weapons suck ass, as you can probably see. But you've got unlimited ammo. There's no time limit. So if you've got the patience for it, you can pretty much play the whole game just with the spanners. You just go through, just taking them out one by one that way. So you kill guys with spanners. You lob spanners at their face. You grab tokens to get money. You get money to upgrade weapons later on. It's quite a lot, to be honest, in what's otherwise a fairly short game. Jump over little rats or mice, I think they're supposed to be, to grab tokens, get money. Professor Mariarti is obviously self-employed, so anyway, jump down here. Now, I'm not sure why he's taken basically what looks like his life savings and just sort of smelted these enormous gold coins and placed them randomly about his lab. But then again, as explained, he is mad, and if you're insane, there's no one to blame. It's interesting that the enemies are all everything in this game is pretty much like a pun on sort of computers or science, really. So you got all these like turning dials. The design is really good. The graphics are really great, and the platforming is really solid. And now we're going to need an item for here. We're going to come back to that later. So I'm just trying to remember this first time. But also, what's good about this game is that the deaths are pretty hilarious usually. So at least when you die, you can have a chuckle. And really, that's what being human is all about. So I'm just going to try not to jump into the big electrical thing. That was a totally weird chip maker. Now this game is absolutely full of puns, but that's just part of it, to be honest. Gonna run down here for a second. Again, we're just trying to look for items that we can use. Some of the platforming is a bit weird, but once you got it down, it's not really a problem. Gonna grab I'm going to tell you what that is in a minute once we get out of harm's way. So once again, I'm going to scroll through our inventory. A bucket of sand. Oh, as I forgot to say this earlier, we got a diver's helmet, and it doesn't really change his graphic on screen. You get the little icon in the lower right, shows you what's doing. I should also explain at the bottom here. These are your lives. These 4 hearts here at the bottom, and in the lower right, that what's the word for it? I don't know. A flask or something. That glass thing, that right there, that's your health. Although most things are one-hit kills in this. So anyway, there's a joystick, which we're going to throw spanners at. See that? Drain my health. That was nice of it. Thanks very much for that. Now, we want to grab tokens because, as I said, you can actually buy more weapons later on as you play. And these weapons just make it a lot easier to kill things. And killing things is what we're here to do. So anyway, this is he's Mad Professor Mariarti. He's developed all these insane things because, well, he's past his prime, really. His brain's not really firing on all cylinders. Oh, that switch that we pressed earlier, by the way, deactivated this electricity. I didn't actually show you that, but that's what happens. You've got to change things in the level in order to advance. And you'll see a lot more of that later on. Now, I'm just trying to remember what we're going to do. That bucket of sand that we got there, that's what I want to do. I want to use that on something, and I'll show you what we used it on before. I said I did play this game a lot when I was a kid, so some of it is coming back, and I played a bit of this level as I was testing it out. Beyond that, though, pretty much forgotten most of it. So there's a tool vendor. Tool vendor's where you get your stuff, so you can't kill every enemy. Most enemies will just sit like that. So what you do, buy your tools here, as I said, is you get screwdrivers, bolt gun. No, I'm trying to buy things. Shut up. Fireballs, laser gun, and virus killer. The virus killer is the most expensive, but I actually find it's not very good, so I'm not really going to bother with it. So we're going to jump over here for a second. Over to the right here, mainly what you're looking for whenever you play these games, whenever you play this level at least, is a switch at the end that shuts down the lab. You have to shut down all 4 labs. That gets you access to the final lab, and that's the end of the game there. Oh, well, looks like we're not going that way. Giant speakers. I'm not sure why the professor would have developed those, but he must have had his reasons. So I'm just going to jump back here. It's much faster if you jump and move, but then you always find yourself falling into danger. Take that, you weird scuzzy cable type thing. So here we are. This is the totally weird chip maker, and this is the raw materials funnel. So what we're going to do here is if we select the bucket of sand, of course you put sand into a raw materials funnel, you obviously get a microchip, you know, obviously. So we're going to need that chip. So if we stop jumping on top of monitors, as I'm sure is a common problem with those that work in laboratories, we're going to come up here. Now this is the pressure chamber, as it so delightfully tells you there. Now if you go up into the pressure chamber normally, you die because there's a lot of pressure in that chamber. So what we're going to do is, of course, put on a diver's helmet. As I said, this really does come across like an old school adventure game with exactly the same kind of ridiculous logic that wouldn't apply in any kind of normal situation, but it works wonderfully here. So boof, we've got that, and now we go down the ladder. So we're going to make our way all the way back up to the top now. See, what's good about this game is it's every single level has got multiple vertical levels. Normally you're going from left to right and the scroll is absolutely fine, but if you're going up and down, you've got to change screens. This often leads to death, but that's part of the charm, supposedly, of these old school games. Anyway, so we're going to select the microchip, and we're going to tell the professor to fit that in, and as he does, waves his arms like some maniacal god. We see that the conveyor belt is now open. Not open, the conveyor belt is now working. So what we do is we make sure the spiders aren't going to be in the way, these electronic microchip spiders, and we can use that to propel ourselves and grab those headphones. Now I knew those headphones were there, otherwise you're going to have to search around for these things. Now I'm going to throw spanners in that guy's face until it hurts, and then I'm going to get murdered by a rat robot type thing. Oh well, that's 1 life gone. You've only got 4 lives for the entire game, so I don't know if I'm actually going to last that long. There's a lot of pretty hilarious deaths in this game. So anyway, remember these speakers we couldn't get past before? Well, we put on some fluffy muffs. No innuendo intended. Let's just get by. And here is the switch that ends the first level of this game. So we're just going to hit this thing and win the level. And as he pelts at full speed to the left, everything has disappeared. And that's what happens when you shut down a laboratory and complete that level. So that level's finished. As you can see, a bit of changes now in this sort of hub area. You can no longer get back into the computer lab, of course. Why would you want to redo the level? And there's a platform here now. Every time you complete a lab, another platform is added until the final platform appears at the very top underneath that question mark lab. That's the final level. Lots of fun to be had there, lots of fun jumping over here, getting booted by an enormous foot. So anyway, that's the first level done. This has been a nice wee experiment I've been trying out. I just want to show people this game that I absolutely adored when I was a kid, and hopefully we'll get through the rest of this. So if you watched this, which I assume you did because you're actually listening to this now, and there's no other way you could conceivably be hearing this unless you were watching it, so I just have to safely assume that you are. Thank you very much for doing so, and hopefully we'll get more of this done fairly soon. Ta-ta.